Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting for February the 7th, 2023. Ms. Hilbrich, will you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Solis?
Here.
Councilman Crocker?
Here.
Councilwoman Scott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Young?
Here.
Councilman Lofgren?
Here.
And Mayor Bauknight.
Here.
Councilman De La Garza will not be joining us this evening.
And if y'all will please rise for the pledges, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Garza, do you have any announcements and/or reminders for this evening?
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. We do have a few announcements for you tonight. I'll start with a municipal court announcement that an outreach docket will be held at Christ Kitchen at 611 East Warren Avenue on Wednesday, February 8th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There will be additional virtual court sessions in addition to the regular warrant resolution docket later this month. These sessions are part of Warrant Resolution Month, a yearly effort to allow those with outstanding warrants to speak with a judge or prosecutor to discuss resolutions options. Community service or reduced fines may be available as well. On the Main Street front, today, if you haven't noticed, the last couple of days have been exciting for downtown with some ribbon cuttings. With 5D Tavern yesterday, and then today was Bloom and Flower. Coincidentally, Bloom and Flower has also been the first recipient of our building improvement grant, which was a very intentional effort of collaboration between the Southside Development Corporation and the city to help with things such as grease traps. Bloom and Flower is owned by Melissa Flores and will occupy the historic cigar factory, formerly the home of Liberty Coffee House. There's a total of $100,000 allocated for this program, and her allotment is close to $3,000. For more information and application, we encourage others to visit mainstreetvictoria.org and click on incentives for the application and additional information. Lastly, from the public safety side, VPD and VFD's monthly Lunch and Learn series is continuing and will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, February 8th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Community Center Annex. This month's topic is financial crimes and scams. To register, visit victoriatx.gov/lunch and learn.
Great, thank you. We'll go ahead and roll into public and employee recognitions. We do have 3 items on there. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, and we can just take those one as they're listed on the agenda, and so we can ask Krista Euchre to come up and kick off the first one related to Keep Victoria Beautification Award.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before we do our Beautification Award, I have a quick reminder. We have a neighborhood cleanup coming up. March 4th is Queen City Neighborhood Cleanup. And this is the one where we have volunteers and residents helping those in that area move large items to the street for pickup by our solid waste department for 2 weeks before that. And then we have volunteers on March 4th. We have hot dogs. We have donuts before that and hot dogs after. Really not healthy. But we'll be working really hard. We also, police department.
It's a beautification initiative, not a wellness initiative.
I know. Police department will have their bike rodeo at that time as well. And fire department will be installing smoke alarms. And we'll have lots of other community partners there as well. Library, Parks and Rec. So it should be a fun time. And we'll get a lot picked up, just as we have in these others. So if you'd like to come, please do, and spread the word. So I'd like to get to our Beautification Award for this month, and I'm going to introduce Meredith Bird, our chair of Keep Victoria Beautiful, to announce this month's.
Thanks, Christy. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Once again, it is my great pleasure to highlight a local business that embodies Keep Victoria Beautiful's mission of enhancing the livability of Victoria by beautification through a sense of pride and ownership. So driving along Salem Road, you might notice a bright, cheerful blue cottage with a cute little bistro table on the front porch and signs that beckon you to come in and have lunch. My friends, you are at Yummy Finds Eatery and Cupcakery. So Courtney Figueroa and her staff offer more than 20 sandwiches and salads on their menu, not to mention just about every flavor of cupcake under the sun. I also have it on good authority that it is a great place to go if you want a good old-fashioned root beer. Outside, the cottage features nicely maintained flower beds and a well-kept front lawn. The brightly colored signage is charming and inviting. Yummy Finds has been in business for 13 years, and when you speak to Courtney, you can really feel the pride she has for this little gem that she has. So on behalf of Keep Victoria Beautiful, I'm honored to present the Business Beautification Award for the month of February to Courtney Figueroa of Yummy Finds Eatery and Cupcakery.
Hi, how are y'all today?
Good. Well,
This award came very unexpectedly, but greatly appreciated. Thank y'all so very much. Thank you so much.
thank you for taking pride in your location and in the city of Victoria. We appreciate the effort in making Victoria a beautiful place to live.
Thank you so very, very much. Appreciate you.
For our next recognition, I'm going to ask Chief Fox to come up and spearhead this one for us.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council, Mr. Garza. Thank you for allowing us just a few minutes to recognize some of our 2022 Annual Peer Award recipients. These members have worked extremely hard in 2022, and for their outstanding work and recognition, we wanted the public and you to see their smiling faces. So I want to introduce them and let you know what their awards are about. So first, our Rookie of the Year, Mr. Nicholas Chapa. Yep, we can clap for him. We can also clap. He's a brand new papa, so we'll clap for him there too. Firefighter of the Year, Mr. Kyle Powers. Paramedic of the Year, Mr. Carl Coy. And our Member of the Year, Marshall Kitchens. Also, we have here tonight very special award recipients, Lieutenant Christopher Payne and Firefighter Cody Montes. They were recently awarded the Medal of Valor. You probably remember back in November, they rescued 2 people from a burning fire along with some PD officers. So Medal of Valor, we don't issue that often. And so we wanted to recognize them and their great, outstanding work. So thank you. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thanks, Chief. And lastly, some recognitions in our city secretary's office. These don't come, they happen often, but we don't talk about them often because April is just so humble with her operation. But it's important to note that the city secretary's office has been recognized by the Texas Department of State Health Services and received the 5-star award for excellence in the vital statistics registration process. Award criteria includes training, customer service, security, and software maintenance. This marks the 20th time the city secretary's office has been recognized for the award. Staff members, of course, include Crystal Castillo, Becky Ditzel, I hope I said that right. Yes, Sandra West, and April Hilbrich. And so I don't know if they're here. Are they here? No?
They
Okay,
were.
they bounced. But still, a round of applause for them as a group and as an office. And really quickly, an individualized recognition for April. She has received her recertification as a Texas Registered Municipal Clerk from the Texas Municipal Clerk Certification Program at the University of North Texas. The program involves attendance of educational seminars and specialized coursework based on the job functions of a municipal clerk. She originally graduated with the certification in 2007 and is required to recertify every 5 years. So, April, thank you for your dedication to professional development and your profession. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, great job, Ms. Hilbrich. Thank you. Items from council. Anybody? I have one listed and I have another one as well. First, let me say once again, thank you to the Library Advisory Board. Thank you to City Council. Thank you to the three of y'all that served on the special committee to get us across the finish line. Thank you to staff. Ms. Jessica, thank you for getting that library policy to where it is. I'm happy with where we got it. I want to let it sit for 12 months before we put it back on the agenda, unless there's some emergency reason that we need to visit it. But let's just see how it works and see the practicality of it before we sit down and spend a lot of time on it again. All right, y'all okay with that? All right, and the other one I have is just the discussion of appointees to the steering committee for the airport formation. And let me tell you the process so that everybody understands. We have our consultant, Steve Baldwin and Associates, that produced the first report that looked at and recommended that we go to this joint model with the county. And as part of that, we're supposed to nominate a steering committee or appoint a steering committee. We had put in our resolution that, you know, we'd have staff help out with that. So they're going to come, the consultants are going to come with a term sheet that's already kind of laid out because they've done this throughout the country before. So they're going to have some terms already that the FAA is used to in the format that the FAA is used to. But there's going to be a discussion with the county, and I try to not call it a negotiation because my theory on the whole setup and change is that this is the best thing for the community as a whole. County, city, it doesn't matter, but it's for the airport and for our economic development and our economic future. And so I don't want it to be an us versus them type of negotiation. Like, what is the county getting? What is the city getting? That's not what it's about. It's about what's going to be best overall to make it a success. And it shouldn't be dependent upon who the players in the room are at this time. You need to make sure that it's successful in 15, 20 years from now and can still operate regardless of who's in what position. So with that, I'd like y'all's input on having Mr. Garza, Mr. Rania, and Ms. Lacy serve as our three appointees from the city to the steering committee. And of course, you know, all of them have one-on-one, well, Mr. Rania doesn't, but he's always available. But there's one-on-ones regularly scheduled with Mr. Garza and Ms. Lacy for all of us. And so I don't anticipate that anybody's going to be kept out of the loop of what's going on. And we're always free to discuss it. And, you know, as we get some input from them, I'm sure that Mr. Garza will come and ask our opinions, where we think we ought to be going as a group and direction-wise.
Well, I have to now.
It shouldn't change.
That was good. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
But I'd appreciate y'all's support in allowing those three to serve. I think they will serve well.
Sounds good.
You have
Okay.
my support in that, and they have my support.
All right, excellent.
Are
So be
y'all
it.
all in agreement? Because we are pushing y'all in. Okay.
We accept the nomination.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, great. Well, thank you. Let's go ahead and get into citizens' communication. Mr. Fisk, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Education has changed a lot since I was in school and even from when I taught. I would like to commend the Victoria school system for the strides they make to make sure that every student gets the education so they can keep up with changing times. As we try to convince new businesses to locate or relocate, depending on the situation, to the greater Victoria area, one of the key metrics of interest is having a workforce that is prepared to take on the jobs that these businesses will generate. The future growth of Victoria relies on the Victoria area schools, including Victoria College and the University of Houston at Victoria, to educate young people to be the employees needed. This gives all the citizens of the community the opportunity to participate in these positions. These educational facilities are doing a fine job, and I commend them for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisk. Mr. Von der Raa.
Good evening, Mayor Bauknight, City Council.
I just wanted to thank the police department. They made a major bus yesterday at Pit Stop. That's by Patty Welder. It was 4 police cars and several police officers, and right by the convenience store, right by, Patty Welder. I appreciate their effort. And I wanted to also thank the police officers for de-escalating something. Someone got mad because I took his dog to the pound, and he came beating on the door, yelling at my mom and stuff. And I just, instead of arguing, I just called the police and let them handle it. And I don't like capturing people's dogs. If they would put their name on it or their phone number or something, I wouldn't have to take it to the pound. But most of them don't have rabies shots. They don't have their name. They don't have a computer chip or nothing. And then even if you know where it's at, you see signs, keep off, no trespassing, cameras in use, private property, get off and stuff. It kind of makes you a little bit scared. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Hermanos Latinos Pistolones came to the trailer park. It was a while back ago, and they killed someone's son, so I kind of stay out of that area. But just wanted to thank Officer Oliveras and all the officers for the work they do. And I didn't know firefighters are in blue. I was wondering why all these police officers were here. I thought they were in red, But thanks for the work of the Victoria Fire Department and the Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rondeau. Mr. Lopez. There you are. I couldn't see you back there hiding.
I'm a short guy. Mayor Bauknight, city council members, I apologize about not opening the door today, Mr. Scott.
It's fine, thank you.
I'm here on behalf of Montekia. Montekia spoke to me when I have her over there at the St. Gabriel's project, and she said, finally they got the groundbreaking of the dog park. I waited for that dog park. She waited for that dog park. She's passed on now. She would like, whether it's a banner or a billboard, like a pin board, so owners who had dogs that wanted to be at that park could be displayed, kind of like a call of a sick, those. I don't want to be like a pet cemetery kind of thing, but I want people to remember their older dog as they're bringing their newer dogs to the dog park. So that way we can have, everybody just loves dogs. I mean, the dog issue that he went through, I ain't gonna love that dog. I mean, I'm glad it went the way it had to do what it had to do. But our dream is, me and Anthony's dream is that that dog park, people can go have a good, safe time. No dogs attacking other dogs, no dogs attacking little dogs, no bullying around. Just dogs being dogs. Leave the cats outside at the, Victoria Spa where they need to be getting all their nails done and stuff. But I wasn't able to complete what you asked me, Mayor Bauknight, on the project because I'm not gizmo friendly. Rhonda's in Indiana, so I didn't get a little help that I needed. But I will get that presentation to you as soon as possible. Okay. But other than that, like I said, the dog park is gonna be a beautiful asset, just like the duck pond. All the things that we're bringing to Riverside Park is gonna generate a good visitor flow. And they're gonna have the zoo, they're gonna have everything that they need to enjoy their day. And if they can, get a Generals game at night. We got so much to offer here in Victoria. You just gotta look for it. I've been spending my time since I got kind of suspended at the Gables Project because my mania hit. After all those losses, my grandma, Montekia, I kind of started walking around and, had a few run-ins with the law, but they understood me. They knew I was going to church. They knew I was trying to. So I'm thankful once again, another month has gone by. I get a Valentine's Rhonda this year as a married man. I look forward to every day at that dog park because I'm going to go just to watch all the beautiful dogs that Victoria has. Some of them hide like I do back here. They're big, beautiful Eskimos, Huskies, all kinds of things. But every dog will be able to play there, and that's the beauty of it. You guys are providing for anything that has a heartbeat here in Victoria. And I am proud to be a Victorian. I just want to say thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. All right, with that, we'll close the citizens' communication and go into items with public hearing.
Item C1 is to discuss and approve an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Victoria, Texas, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of the City of Victoria, Texas Certificates of Obligation Series 2023, approving and authorizing an official statement and the distribution thereof, approving a purchase contract and paying agent registrar agreement, approving and authorizing all other instruments and procedures related thereto, and providing for an immediate effective date. This item is on emergency reading.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've got two items tonight to present that are both the issuances of sort of CO bonds and the utility system revenue bonds. We went out to market today to sell those. This was as a part of the city's capital improvement plan for the CO bonds. We issued just under $2.4 million in funds, and that money will be used for projects including Spring Creek Road reconstruction, Dairy Road reconstruction, and the Wagner Way Extension project. And on the utility side, we issued $12.34 million in funds, which will be used for the Tanglewood Utility Street reconstruction, the College Park Utility Street reconstruction, and the Bon Air Utility Street reconstruction. With us tonight, I have Dusty Traylor with RBC Capital Markets, who's the city's financial advisor, as well as Jay Juarez, who is our bond counsel. They'll be here to answer any questions. And also, Dusty will be going through a presentation providing details on the two bond sales that occurred today. So.
Thank you, Wesley. Again, Dusty Traylor with RBC Capital Markets. It's our honor and privilege to represent the City of Victoria as financial advisor. It's good to see you all this evening. As Wesley said, we were in the market today to sell both utility system revenue bonds and certificates of obligation. I think we've talked about this a few times in the past. Today's sale is really the culmination of many days and weeks and months of preparation leading up to today's actual sale. And that preparation was handled very, very well by your executive team here at the city, and all the things that we need for them from them to be able to bring your bond offering to market. And I just want to let you know that group represents this city tremendously well. The results of the sale of the certificates of obligation, I'll go through that one first. I think it appears on the agenda first. So if you don't mind, I'll jump to that slide. So just a quick summary of our financing team that was involved, ourselves as financial advisor, Mr. Juarez team at McCall as bond counsel. The underwriters for the transaction was Frost Bank. Their counsel is Oric. The paying agent is Wilmington Trust. That's the paying agent on all the city's outstanding bonds. Down below, we've got the summary stats on the deal. In the market today was the pricing day. We expect delivery March 2nd. That's the day upon which we expect to actually be able to deliver funds. So after tonight's meeting, Mr. Juarez and his team will shepherd the transaction and the documents through the Texas Attorney General's office for their approval. Once we get that approval back, we should be able to close and deliver the funds to the city on March 2nd. The first interest payment, or the first payment on the COs, is going to be made August 15th of this year, 2023. Bond rating is a AA. And the interest rates, these are fixed interest rates for the life of the bonds, an arbitrage yield, federal arbitrage yield of 3.555, and an all-in TIC of a 3.998. That all-in TIC figure takes into account not simply just the yields on the bonds, but also takes into account the cost of issuance, as well as some bond math of pricing the bonds to their first optional call date, which in the case of these COs is August 15th, 2032. So we were able to negotiate with the investors a slightly shorter than usual call date on the COs. COs, these carry a call date of just right at 9 years. Normally muni bonds, the investors want a 10-year call. So that's, again, something to the city's benefit. The interest rate, the all-in TIC being right at 4%, you know, when we were looking at these numbers back in the fall and even going back into the budgeting process with your team, you know, we were looking at interest rates probably north of 4.5%. And so this result is very favorable, and what it does is it allows for lower annual debt service than what we originally anticipated. This slide here, we've got our sources and uses for the COs. As Wesley indicated, we are depositing $2.36 million into the city's project account for the COs. But if you look up under the principal, the sources there, The principal amount of these COs is $2.265 million. The differential there being made up by that premium paid by the investors on the obligation. So we're excited to be able to deposit the full 2.36 into your project account. And then on this slide, we show estimated debt service. We've got annual debt service on these COs, more or less right around $170,000 per year. I believe, Gilbert, when we went back and we're looking at these budget-wise, we were probably looking right around $195,000 to $200,000 per year. So that lower interest rate does translate into a lower debt burden on the citizens. That is the real summary on the COs. I'm open to just continuing giving the presentation as it relates to item 2 for the utility bonds, and y'all can take up the action separately. Is that okay?
That's great.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
Trailer.
good. So the next slide, talking about the utility system revenue bonds, same teams on that transaction as well. Down in the summary, obviously same sale and delivery date. Our first interest payment on the utility bonds is June the 1st. Our bond ratings on the utilities is AA by Fitch, AA minus by S&P. The ARB yield on the utility bonds is a 3.544 and a 3.822% all-in TIC. Here we also have a final maturity, a 20-year amortization with final maturity in December of 2042. And our call date also slightly shorter than 10 years, December 1st, 2032 on the call date. And again, these interest rates are lower than we anticipated. I believe when we were running the amortizations, the preliminary pro formas on this transaction, we were running those assuming about a 4.75 maybe, so quite a bit of difference in this interest rate. Here, the sources and uses of funds. Again, as Wesley indicated, we're gonna deposit $12.34 million into the city's project account, but the principal amount of this issue is less than that, $11,615,000. Again, the differential being made up by a net premium paid by the investors on the bonds. And then on this slide, we show the annual debt service payments on the utility system revenue bonds. Average debt service in each of the fiscal years that come up after this one of about $882,000 per year. When we were looking at this one, Gilbert, I believe we were looking somewhere in the neighborhood of about $960,000 to $970,000 per year. So this is quite a bit of differential in average annual debt service on this one. And that is a result of just a favorable interest rate environment versus where we were thinking we were heading back in the summer and in the fall. And just real quickly, talking about the bond ratings. Your team participated in person with Standard & Poor's for the bond rating, and number one, represented this city tremendously. Jesus made a comment prior to our meeting indicating that he had no problem talking about the city of Victoria for an hour and a half without stopping. Jesus held true to that promise. But talked about all of the wonderful and exciting developments and the stability here in the city of Victoria, and did that very well. And then your finance team also did a very great job of putting together a presentation to the rating agency and communicated the message, the city's message, very, very well. Some of the things that the rating agencies pointed out in their reports, at least on the GOs, that's on the left here. History of operating surpluses and strong reserves, robust management policies, good financial policies and practices, and then the creation of a stabilization fund for any for economic hardship. Some items that they pointed out on the utility side is strong financial operations and cash levels, and then affordable combined utility bill, and then a moderately low debt supporting future capacity. So those are some of the highlights of their reports. All of the ratings were affirmed by the rating agencies. Your ratings put you guys in very, very good stead. These solid AAs at the GO level, and then the split AA, AA minus at the utility system level is in very, very good stead. This is very akin to, say, Corpus down the road, Baytown, better than Beaumont on up the bend in the, on the coast. But very, very well representation of your bond ratings here. And that translates into what we talked about earlier. Great ability to go to the market and get very good interest rates when you need access to capital. So all in all, a very great transaction. Real quickly, on just to kind of show you guys where the market has gone and what kind of translated in the market to allow these types of results. This graph here provides data on the MMD. That's the yield curve off of which municipal bonds are priced every single day. The chart or the line at the very top, that blue line, that is where MMD was on November 1 of this year, just shortly before we gave the notice of intent to issue these COs. You can see it is above the 15-year average, so we'd experienced quite a climb in interest rates. And now look where we are today. That's represented by the green line of MMD, and you can see that number one, it's come down tremendously, and you can also see that inversion in the curve there, where the very early year interest rate is higher than all the years through years 10 and 11. So interesting times in the bond market, but this change in rate directly translates into the citizens, what the debt service is on these obligations and the affordability of them. So, any questions?
Is there a reason 20-year bonds were, the time frame 20 years was picked?
You know, we look at, number one, we look at bond market, but more importantly, we look at the city's bond portfolio and the impact to the citizens, right? Understanding the rate for these bonds and how it will impact either the INS tax rate or the utility system rate. If we shorten that any shorter, we could potentially have to increase the rate on both the INS or the utility side. So those are some of the things we look at when trying to properly amortize these bonds. But we always want to make sure that when we're taking that into consideration, we're also taking into consideration the useful life of the assets that are putting into place. But that's a great question, and it's worth pointing out, you know, in other obligations that the city has done, those have also been 20-year obligations. But for instance, this year, the city is actually is paying off some bonds earlier, right? So there were some bonds that were originally issued as 20-year bonds that now, because of, you know, your prudent finances, the prudent finances of the city, you're going to ultimately pay off shorter, and you've got the option to do that with these as well.
Thank you, Mr. Traylor.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll just need motion on each of the items.
Want to do them together or one at a time?
Let's just do them one at a time real quick.
And the public hearing piece.
What?
Public hearing first.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Sorry.
At this time, we'll open up a public hearing for item C1. Anybody wishing to speak on this item, please stand up and come to the microphone. Don't see anybody coming up, so we'll close the public hearing and entertain any motions.
I move that we adopt C1.
Well, second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll open up a public hearing for item C2. Anybody wishing to speak on this item, please step up to the podium. Nobody getting up, then we will close the public hearing.
I move we adopt item C3, C2. Second.
All right,
Do you want me to read the item?
okay.
Item C2 is to discuss and approve an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Victoria, Texas, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of the City of Victoria, Texas Utility System Revenue Bond, Series 2023, approving and authorizing an official statement and the distribution thereof, approving a purchase contract and paying agent registrar agreement, approving and authorizing all other instruments and procedures related thereto, and providing for an immediate effective date. This item is also an emergency reading.
Thank you.
I move we adopt item C2. Second.
I got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Item D1 is the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting held on January 17th, 2023, and the special meeting held on January 26th, 2023. Item D2 is a resolution authorizing a grant application for FY24 rifle-resistant body armor grant program in an approximate amount of $13,226.55, and to designate the city manager as the authorized official. Item D3 is a resolution approving a 5-year golf cart lease agreement with Riverside Golf Course for the Easy Go in the amount of $391,590. Item D4 is a resolution approving a purchase of an 850 GPM horizontal mounted pump from the Austin Armature Works LP in the amount of $68,370. Item D5 is a resolution ratifying the Bronson Street Emergency Sanitary Sewer Replacement, which is Commercial Street to Goodwin Avenue, project to J&R Contracting Services Incorporated for the low quote of $109,810. Item D6 is a resolution approving an advanced funding agreement with TxDOT for the illumination and signage improvements at the intersection of Pleasant Green and Callis Street. Item D7 is a resolution approving a contract with Playworks Incorporated via governmental purchasing contract for the delivery and installation of a gazebo manufactured by the Playwell Group Incorporated for the Riverside Duck Pond gazebo in an amount not to exceed $90,226.42. Item D8 is a resolution approving the purchase of 80 Scott self-contained breathing apparatuses from Heat Safety Equipment LLC in the amount of $638,556.64. Item D9 is a resolution awarding the City of Victoria Waterline Extension US 59 project to Lester Contracting Incorporated of Port Lavaca, Texas for the low amount of $174,253.
I move we adopt the consent agenda as read.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Item E1.
Item E1 is a resolution awarding a contract for owner's representative services for the Public Safety Headquarters project to AGCM Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $560,693.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this will be, a lot of this will be sort of a refresher from a few meetings back where we talked about negotiating the contract. So we've managed to do that while juggling actually working on the Public Safety Headquarters building. And so we're grateful to AGCM for serving as an owner's rep even prior to some of the work we've put in prior to the contract tonight. As you may remember, we talked about FGMA as the firm that we awarded a contract to in October for design services. They're an architecture firm. They're also working in conjunction with RMA locally as a subcontractor for them. In the process of building this, we've chosen a delivery method that is a construction manager at risk. So we will design with FGMA and RMA, hire a construction manager at risk. That's a procurement that's underway right now. And then guiding us through this process and sort of helping us avoid missteps and any additional issues will be the owner's rep, AGCM Inc. AGCM is a company that's been in business since 1996. They have multiple locations in Texas and many, many employees. It's all sort of a refresher from last time. To the contract that we will ask you to award tonight is in the amount of $560,693. $513,000 of that, roughly, is for construction management. They'll help with the construction manager at risk procurement, and even in that process now, their insights have proven tremendously valuable to us as we've moved through navigating and learning what to look for in a good construction manager at risk and how to put together a good solid RFP for that and to do those things. They've also been very engaged and helpful in the input on the schematic design phase, which we're working on now with FGMA and RMA. As construction begins, they will be on site, making sure that contractors are building to plan, making sure that should any issues come up, that we're informed and that we're aware. And then when it's all said and done, they'll help with closeout and making sure that, for instance, we have manuals on everything and we've been trained on how to do the maintenance on the building. And we know all of the things on a punch list are completed, right? And so then finally, the remaining $47,000 will be making sure that the estimates we get from our construction manager are good, solid estimates. As we go through the design process, they'll make sure that that the cost of things are competitive and are as they should be. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions for you. I do have both Chris Majors and Kendra Hickman here tonight with AGCM as well.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Farrell? No, a project of this magnitude, I will say, I think it'll be a big benefit to us, just to have truly what amounts to an owner's rep looking out for our best interest. It's some expertise level that we don't typically carry in-house on the project this size, so should bear some fruit for us.
Agreed.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you.
Motion.
I'll move for approval of E1.
Second.
I had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. E2.
Thank you.
Item E2 is a resolution awarding the Dairy Road Reconstruction Project, Salem Road to Whispering Creek, to Brandon Paving Company LTD for their low proposal amount of $3,152,377.83.
Good evening. This is for the Dairy Road Reconstruction Project. The location is Course Dairy Road, and it goes from Whispering Creek to Salem Drive, and it's continuation of the section that's there. Project limits, again, Salem to Whispering Creek. It's about 2,600 feet, 29-foot wide curb and gutter section, hot mix. Sidewalk, we're going to do on the west side of the road. It's up against the Castle Hill side. That's where most of the foot traffic is. And in this job, if you remember, we added a 16-inch water line. It's a little bit on the shallow side, so we're going to go ahead and replace it. And it also includes a lot of storm sewer improvements. Proposal submitted, this is kind of interesting. Brandon Paving, their bid low proposal amount was $3.152 million, and Lester Contracting was $3.159 million. So as you can see, they were right close at hand, which is an indication of a good set of plans and a good set of drawings that the consultant put together, which is Ardura. Budgeted cost is $4.3 million. Project time is 270 days, start in April, and then completion in January.
Is that calendar days the same for both, or was one different than the other?
They were both the same. We set the time frame.
Okay.
Unique items, this one has no crown. We're gonna slope the road from the from the west to the east and put one side of storm sewer. It saves a lot of money because you don't have to put double inlets and cross pipes in. Another unique feature is we're extending the box culvert on Whispering Creek so we could get that sidewalk in. And those are the two big, unique items to this project. And I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. Yes.
I have a question. Who's doing Castle Hills West, and it's being done sort of at the same time? I happen to live in Castle Hills West, and I'd like to be able to get in and out of my neighborhood. If you're doing Dairy Road and Castle Hills West, I might have to get a horse or something to get out.
It'll be the same group, and primarily Castle Hills West, when they do that job, it's gonna be a chip seal, and they're doing some point repairs now, but they'll maintain access through the whole job. We do plan to close that entrance into Castle Hills during this project. That's what gives us the benefit of 270 days, is to close this road to through traffic.
Okay, thank you.
That project, though, have we awarded that one?
Yes, sir, we have.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And they're already started. They've started some of the point repairs out there.
Make a motion to approve item E2.
I second it.
All right, motion and a second. Y'all have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to approve. Item E3.
Item E3 is a resolution awarding the Tanglewood Utility Improvement Project Phase 1 to J&R Contracting Services Incorporated for the low proposal amount of $4,277,534.
This is the project map. This is the second iteration of Tanglewood because we did phase one and we didn't have some of the streets like Birchwood and included in there. So this is just the overall picture of highlighted in blue what's included in the utilities. Streets included is Teakwood Drive, section of Maplewood, section of Sherwood, Beechwood Drive, Westwood, Idlewood Place, and Stonewood. Replacing 12,000 linear feet of 6-inch AC water line with new 8-inch water line. Cure in place 9,200 linear feet of sanitary sewer mains. Open cut 575 feet. And then rehab 45 manholes, remove and replace 13 hydrants, and then replace existing sanitary sewer services cleanouts and water services with cutoffs, and there's about 90 of those. One of the interesting things on this one, with that amount of cure in place, that limits the disruption to the public because a lot of that sewer line out there is 18, 19 feet deep, believe it or not. And on this project, we elected to do the sewer services also with CIPP. A lot of times that's what slows these projects up is having to open cut that service across the street, and you can only get a couple at a time. This is going to speed, I think it's going to speed the project up a lot.
That sounds great, but what does that mean, cure in place?
What it basically is, the contractor will come out, they'll start in one manhole, they close the flow off, and they'll have a U-liner. Basically, it's a piece of fiberglass that's folded up. They'll slip it inside the pipe. They inject steam and hot steam into it, and that inside liner expands and basically lines that pipe inside there. So if there was roots or something else, they would basically lock it in. Now it's a smooth pipe. It's got the structural integrity it needs. It's been around for a long time. We've used it in a lot of places in Victoria.
Explain how that works again, if you have roots that are penetrating?
They'll clean the roots out. First thing they do is go clean the pipe. They clean the pipe, wash it. It's got to be super clean. And then they put the liner in, and they'll do it in sections. They do it from manhole to manhole to manhole. And then they'll come back in and do the services.
What's the anticipated lifespan of?
It's same as PVC, 30 to 50 years.
Okay.
We received two proposals, J&R Contracting at $4.27 million, and then Lester at $5.9 million. Contract time, 420 days. Again, that has a lot to do with the water. It's just a slow process to put the water line in, get all the services, cutoffs. Start in April of this year and then complete in July of 24. It does include a permanent patch over the repairs to the water line, and then the street improvements would start later in 24. And if they finish early, we'll surely get the streets out in time. The design is already completed for the streets, so we're on track.
When you say permanent patch, it's not the rebuild of the street in that area. No. It is just an asphalt patch.
It's an asphalt patch over the water line that's been dug up in the sewer services.
But it's not meant to be permanent.
It's not. It's more than just putting a little cold mix in there where it'll wash out in a week or two. It is more of a permanent patch than just temporary.
I've got a question related to that with the manholes, because that's a lot of manholes that are going to be repaired, and it brings to mind times when we do work on them, and then there's a big area of relief between the road and the manholes. Is that also a situation where you would do a temporary patch, or maybe they're not going to be raised up?
What they'll do is they'll bring them up to grade during this project. During the street process, they'll take that ring and cone off, put a plate over it, do their road work, and then after the road work's done, they'll cut that square out, bring the manhole up to grade again. But it'll be a double process basically, but they will install the manhole complete during this project.
Thank you. That's partially for my education and partially just for people to realize that we do know what we're doing, even if we cover up the manholes.
And a lot of
for
times, we used to do the manholes, we would work around them. It is so much easier and more efficient, and you get a better riding surface. If you lower it finish the road, and then you can bring it up and you can match that manhole to grade, because sometimes it's on that cross slope of the street. So you want to get it, you got to tilt it a little bit. So it's always better to do it afterwards and try to work the street around a manhole.
Thank you.
What's the budget amount for this project?
It was right at 4.2 million. Let me see. I think I might have it. Budget was 4.235.
Almost the same.
So it's a little over.
It's real close.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this item.
I second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? The only item I don't like is the days. You know.
Yeah, we need to, I'll be meeting with staff to revisit the Best Valley conversation that was brought up a couple of years ago, because I do think there's still room for our improvement there for us to do that.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. E2 carries.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. We don't have any city manager reports or work session, but we will recess into executive session. We're not planning to come back with any decisions or to reconvene.
The city council will recess for executive session on the 7th day of February 2023 at 5:52 PM. The subject matter of the executive session deliberation is as follows: Texas Government Code 551.087, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.071.